former president of Loyola Marymount University, the Reverend Patrick O'Malley Society of Jesus. From this almost island, Loyola Marymount University, this place that I would like to call holy, because it is a place of growth, of learning, of hitting upon God. The university has both illuminated you and has been lit by you in turn. This week's experience at the Center of California Government provides a light to each of you in justice, social responsibility, human interaction, and charity. The lessons learned in Sacramento provide concrete meaning to God's statement in Genesis, "Let there be light." I pray that God's light, your experience, and the university will encourage each of you to climb to previously unknown holy places and provide light to lives of strangers not yet met. Amen.
Amen.
Mario Roberti, thank you very much. Class of 57, also went to the law school in San Juan, and also has a doctorate that we won't mention what university, and was also on our Board of Regents for many years. Thank you very much. I'd like now to introduce Senate President Pro Tem Kevin De Leon.
Yay!
Thank you very much, Fernando. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here with each and every one of you, especially an incredible occasion to celebrate someone who means so much to the California body politic. Someone who has exemplified outstanding courage and incredible moral fortitude, and taking on issues that are very difficult. One issue is we have the assault weapons ban in the state of California due to this man right here.
Yeah.
Back in the day, he knew it was very difficult. He knew it was challenging. He knew politically that his political career was on the line. But this is what great leaders do. Even when you're facing a tremendous amount of odds, you push the envelope. And this is what he did way before any of us did. And this is a man, again, of outstanding courage and true moral character. The very fact that he's the Senate President Pro Tem for 14 years speaks volumes about who this individual is and what kind of man. A lot of folks don't know, but I was very close when I was in my early 20s. Maylee Tom had interviewed me. Cliff Berg had done an interview too at the time. And I was that close to being hired by, then Senate President Pro Tem David Roberti when I was an organizer for immigrant rights groups at the time. Remember? At the time, it was your position, specifically. And I was deeply honored to have this opportunity. I was incredibly honored, even more so, when I was sworn in to be President Pro Tem back on October 15th, 2014. I was honored that David Roberti, President Pro Tem Emeritus David Roberti, actually came to my event at Walt Disney Concert Hall. And also, because once a senator, always a senator, clearly in that very small group of Pro Tem leaders in history, once a Pro Tem, always a Pro Tem. We're doing the bookends right now because you're getting commentary from me, Pro Tem. You'll finish with our President Pro Tem, David Roberti, but we always work together. We collaborate and cooperate together. Why do I say this? I say this because many folks know, and we have diverse of opinion, but Senate Bill 350, climate change policy. Who did we have there? Who was a supporter of Senate Bill 350? Who added his name to support to deal with the issue of climate change? Senator Pro Tem David Roberti. He was there with us. And for that, I am indebted to you, Mr. President Pro Tem. So I am honored to just share a few words with you. And Fernando, thank you so very much for bringing us together. A friend, an incredible mentor, someone who we can call always and tap into his great reservoir of knowledge, of wisdom, of experience. You mean a tremendous amount to us in California, not to just Democrats, But I know we got Senator Jim Nielsen over here too, a great senator over here, Senator Jim Nielsen over here, who was the Republican leader at the time when you were leader. And when we speak, you know, he waxes poetically about your tenureship as President Pro Tem. So with that, I'm deeply honored just to share a few words with all of you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
You, Senator, we're Senator. Senator, right here. So let's get these alumni. They're all right here. Look at this one right here. Look at right here. Right here.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, and 3. Thank you.
Right here.
You can pull photos from the whole thing.
It's all pro tip paparazzi.
1, 2, and 3. We're good.
Okay, can I have your attention again? I'm sorry for the interruption. It's now my pleasure to introduce State Senator Ben Allen, who represents the center of the universe, Westchester, where Loyola Marymount University is located.
Woo! Go Lions!
Go Lions! Go Lions! I'm so proud to represent LMU in the state legislature. It is such an extraordinary university, such great students, such great faculty, wonderful places like the Center for the Study of Los Angeles that Dr. Guerra helps to lead. Big round of applause to the center. They do so much to illuminate social phenomena, political phenomena currently taking place in Los Angeles, and also helping to archive our extraordinary history as a city. A lot of people come from other parts of the world, don't think that LA has any history. First of all, it's patently false, and the center is helping to preserve and protect that history. And part of the preservation actually involves the Roberti archives, the Roberti papers that are now at LMU, at home at LMU, where scholars will be able to go for generations to come to study this extraordinary man who led this Senate and who led this legislature during some very difficult times and helped to lead groundbreaking legislation that really made a difference for all of us in the years following. I'm proud to represent the very same district, more or less, that Senator Roberti represented, Hollywood, and I was able to read a couple of wonderful stories about you as a kid. One thing I love about this guy is that he's a real intellectual. He's a kind of introverted, they say, which is funny. You wouldn't think that you'd reach a position like this as an introvert, but actually it ends up happening quite a lot. You'd be surprised. But this is a guy who was always in search of a quiet place to read, and one time rode the trolley car from Hollywood to Vernon and back, just so he could be able to read quietly without anyone bothering him. Of course, he was a boy at the time, and I think it caused a real crisis in your family.
Yeah, my mother got scared.
Your mother got scared, all right. And he would wander around the streets of Hollywood just with his nose in a book. Maybe not quite so safe to do that anymore, but who knows. But it's a wonderful thing, and I think it speaks to your intellectual curiosity that has been at the heart of your political success over the years. The Pro Tem mentioned your leadership on the assault weapons ban, which was extraordinary, and of course earned you a recall effort that you fortunately beat back by the NRA. But you also were a big leader in solid waste management before it was sexy, before it was something of interest. If you look at, it's not sexy still, but it's really important. It's really important. It's an extraordinarily important issue in terms of environmental protection, and you were ahead of the curve on that issue and on so many issues, and it's just my honor to celebrate you and your life and your career and your wonderful connection to this extraordinary university at LMU today. So thank you so much for attending.
One, two, three. One more.
Hey, thank you, Senator Allen, and you said you represent a little portion of Dave Roberti's district. The man that currently represents really what was the last part of his district, the last district he represented. I was a kid with the senator that when he first started, he represented part of East LA, and they just keep going up as the Latino population kept pushing him to the valley. Senator Kurtzberg.
Hey, thanks, Fernando, very much, and thanks to LMU, you guys. And I just want to say something. You know, Senator Roberti, look at the room. You got Tony Beard, I see back there. I haven't seen him for a long time. Senator Hart, George. You go down the room, man. This Jerry, all the old greats. You know, we all tend to think that we do this on our own, but we put together a lot of great people, and there's a lot of great stories here over the years that Senator Roberti brought together. I'm fortunate enough to have been around a long, long time and now represent the district. But you know, Senator Allen talked about the humility. And Senator Roberti came to the Senate floor today. Hey, Joe. Senator, he came to the floor today. And he says, the first time I've been back in 22 years. Think about what this kind of guy is. 13 and a half years as pro tem. A time when Willie Brown was dominating with the fancy shoes and the fancy cars and all the stuff, and no one wants to take away from Willie his extraordinary talent. But here's a guy who just quietly took care of business, who quietly led the state. President Pro Tem talked about assault weapons and the like. And I just wanted to share a couple of quotes that I found, because I think the best statement about the words of Senator Roberti, or Senator Roberti's own actions in his own words. So in April 1994, in a Los Angeles Times profile, Senator Roberti says, quote, I guess I gravitate toward the have-nots, the people who need somebody to fight for them. That's the kind of guy Dave Roberti is. Throughout his career, he says, another quote, the governor's trying to earn himself a reputation among the right-wing Republicans, Mr. Roberti said of George McMajan after he blue-penciled special proposals for health, welfare, and other social programs in July 1983. And he's doing it by squeezing more than $1 billion out of the state's most helpless people. With regard to Governor Wilson, after Governor Wilson took office and slashed welfare payments and tax credits for low-income renters, Wilson wanted a special session over Christmas in 1991, and the quiet, mild-mannered Dave Roberti, who told Jerry Brown to get the hell off the floor, said, when it snows in Death Valley, I'll come back to cut the renters' credit. So he does look like a quiet guy, but let me tell you something, he fights for the death. And let me tell you, when the gun lobby goes after, he said, it has an adverse impact, Roberti noted in June 1994, after withstanding a recall funded in part by gun rights activists. It was too important to win, not just for myself, but for the greater good of the public. We lit a small candle for peace, Roberti said of his assault weapons ban passed after the 1989 Stockton shooting. And lastly, Billy Lockyer, another one of our great buddies who succeeded Dave, said, if there's an overarching philosophy, it's a sympathy for the underdog. Ladies and gentlemen, the great Dave Roberti.
You don't want me being a blur again. One more.
And we have the honor also of having Senator Glazer here, who's really a direct descendant of the Senator Glazer.
Thank you so much. Thank you, LMU, for having this event. It's such a great opportunity to have us all together. And really one of the highlights of my first year in the Senate was today, because I got to welcome Senator Roberti home. And to see the warm embrace by colleagues on the Republican side, on the Democratic side, and it was really special. And at the time, I talked about some of the accomplishments that he has so deserved and have been mentioned today, whether it's assault weapons, or affordable housing, or the renters' efforts, or animal rights. We haven't heard about animal rights. Okay.
Roar!
It's a long list, and a lot of times, lot of times when people look back on their career, they say, you know, how many bills did I get passed? How many laws? How have I changed the life of Californians from a legislative point of view? But you know what strikes me, Senator, and I think a lot of people will relate to this, is that the impression, the impact that you have isn't just about the laws. It's about the people that you